How about now? Yeah, now? Oh man, we weren't recording the whole time. Dang, it said recording in the corner in the beginning and then it disappeared. Now I gotta do it again. I'm gonna watch that. I'm gonna watch that record button. Okay, anyways. So a couple Fridays ago, um, me and my girlfriend went out to a Greek restaurant to eat some food. And then the following Saturday, I started not feeling very well. Like my stomach started to hurt and I started to get dizzy and a little bit feverish and kind of tired. And then on that Sunday, the dizziness and the imbalance, like feeling like I was kind of walking on a boat, it got a little worse. And then the nausea started really kicking up and I started puking. So I thought, and you know what? It was probably the Greek food. This sounds like and feels like a stomach bug to me. So that was kind of on Sunday. I kind of just took it for what it was. And then Monday started feeling a little bit better because I thought all the food was out of my system. But as the evening kind of crept around, I started feeling noticeably much more uncomfortable. So much so to the point where in the middle of the night, around like 2 in the morning, I was talking to my girlfriend. I was like, I think I need to go to urgent care. Like I feel actually like really bad. So we go there, get tested. Um, they tested me 4 times for whatever reason. The doctor is like, I need to test you like quite a few times. So why is that? She said this strain's like really hard to test positive for whatever reason. So we got to do it quite a few times. So they gave me 4 tests, and 3 out of the 4 I failed negative, and only one came back positive, and it was the third out of the fourth test. So I was like, interesting. Okay. So the doctor's like, yep, you got the big C. So came home and I informed Miguel and Adrian and Krista, and I rested. Right, I made sure to take care of my body the moment I came home. I Uber Eats chicken noodle soup and whole bunch of Pedialyte and Gatorade and coconut water and the works. And I made sure had all my blankets set up on my couch and everything, and my Netflix ready and prepared. I got my Dayquil and everything. So I was getting ready uh, to take care of myself, right? And as the symptoms were getting worse and ramping up, I was doing all these things, and even with all these things I was practicing, the symptoms were still pretty uncomfortable. It's like a 7, 8 out of 10. I was sitting in the sun for some good parts of the day because I know that was good for me. It always makes me feel a little bit better. Um, and then come Tuesday, the symptoms were at its peak. I think it was the worst it got. And it was cool to observe because when my symptoms hit about like 9 or 10 out of 10 with discomfort with the body aches and the flu, I noticed myself becoming more angry as the symptoms got higher. Like I actually noticed myself snapping at people and becoming angry. And my girlfriend's like, "This is not like you to act like this." Cuz I was like visibly angry and like frustrated and I was starting to get doubts. And something clicked when my girlfriend said that to me. She's like, "This is not like you. You're only like this because you're feeling so bad." And what clicked in me, I was like, "No, she's right. I don't usually behave like this. The only reason that emotionally I feel like this is because my body is fighting something and my mind is connected to my body." That's holy crap. And the moment I realized that, I immediately separated myself from how I emotionally felt. I said, "It's not, dude, you're not real. The anger is not even real. The frustration is not real. These doubts are fake. The only reason I feel these emotions, the only reason I feel this anger and frustration is because it's revving up because it's connected to my body that's fighting something. So if my body's a 10 out of 10, I'm going to feel some stuff mentally as well because they're connected. But just because they're connected doesn't mean I have to engage. I have to get out of my own way, let my body fight what it needs to fight, and I need to disengage from the emotions and the thoughts and the doubts, and I just need to watch it. It's not real." And that's what I told myself the whole time. I was like, "It's not real. It's not real. The thoughts are not real. The thoughts are not real. My body is just fighting something. It's just readapting. It's just going through a phase. It's not real. I'm not going to engage with the anger. I'm not going to, it's not real. You're fake. You're fake." The whole time I was saying that. And later that night, I had nightmares and I was sweating it out. And I woke up to the nightmares and my heart was pounding. And I was like, the nightmare wasn't real. It wasn't fake. The only reason I'm having a nightmare is because my body's fighting something. And I kept saying that over and over. I was like, it's because my body's fighting something. It's not real. It's just chemical. It's not real. And then that Wednesday, I woke up again, drenched in sweat. But after I woke up and I washed up for a little bit, I kid you not, you guys, like this was after 2 days, it felt like it was gone. Like it felt like it just left my body completely. And I felt completely normal after that. And here's the crazy part about it was I felt so good after that because it felt like my body just went through something and then it just dipped and I was completely free of it. I felt so good. My mind was telling me, okay, Junior, you just fought this thing. You responded really well and you took care of yourself and you rested physically and you did what you needed to do. You should reward yourself with some exercise. How about we try to go for a jog or we try to go for a little run or get some fresh air and go out and do those things. And this was my mind now going from like a low place to like swinging to the other side of the pendulum to a really high place. And I said, you're fake too, actually. Like when I was at my worst, you tried to give me doubts and anger, and that was fake. But now that I'm feeling good and I'm feeling my best that I have in 48 hours, and now all of a sudden you want me to go for a run or a jog, you're fake as well because you don't make any logical sense. I was just in bed fully for 48 hours, not resting, or I was resting and sweating and going through it and fighting something. And all of a sudden you want to go from 48 hours of bed rest to jogging. You make absolutely no logical sense. You're fake as well. I'm not going to listen to you either. The logical thing to do, because I had to take a step back and look at it logically, I was like, if I was just resting for 48 hours and in bed for 48 hours, the logical thing for me to do as the next step, if I'm feeling much better, is to sit up more instead of to lay down, to introduce more solid foods and maybe do like a 30-second or 1 minute walk outside slowly. So I did that and I paced myself and I stayed in the gray no matter how much my mind wanted me to go run, 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 run. It's not real. It logically, when you look at my situation as a whole, because that's what I learned to do in recovery, I learned to look at what I did the days previous. And if it didn't make sense for what my mind wanted me to do as the next logical step, I didn't do it because it didn't make sense to me. That's the thing. So I was like, you want me to do this, but that's not the next logical step. I don't care what you say. I'm doing the next physical logical step. So I went outside a little bit. I hung out for a couple minutes. I sat up a little more. I introduced some more solid foods. And then the next day, I felt really, really, really good. And my brain was like, you really need to go for a run. You need to go for a walk right now. You need to like go do all the things because you feel really, really good. And I said, yesterday, I merely sat up more and I walked for like a couple minutes outside and I'm reintroducing foods. I'm just going to do a little bit more than that. And my brain's like, no, dude, do more, 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 more. And I was like, you're fake. You're not real. You're still that COVID brain. You're not real. And so I went for like a 5 to 10 minute, really light and gentle walk outside, a slow, slow, slow walk. And I sat up a little bit more. And I introduced a normal diet back in. I stopped the Pedialyte. I just started drinking water again. And I started still going to sleep at a little bit of an earlier time. And then the next days after that, that's when 5 to 10 minutes turned into like 20 to 30 minute walks. This was like Thursday, and then Friday, I was back to like 40, 45 minute walks, and then, sitting up, hanging around the house, doing more chores, and just going back very, very, very slowly and like doing it in a logical way and like graying out my behavior. And then yesterday, I didn't do much yesterday. I went to the mall for like an hour with my parents because they needed to pick up something. And I ate at the food court, came home, and then my girlfriend and I went to go get boba, and then we walked the dogs for a little bit. And then I just hung out at home. And then today I'm gonna take it easy for probably the next week as well and not do anything too strenuous. If I'm gonna do stuff, I'm gonna do it in a relaxed way, low key, very chill. If I go somewhere, I'm gonna walk slow. I'm not gonna push my body too much. Cause the behavior that got me in trouble in the first place was doing the opposite of all of those things the first time I got COVID. Because the first time I got COVID, when the symptoms ramped up, I freaked out and I engaged with the thoughts and I took it very personally and I took it as like part of my identity and I attached a story to it. That was problem number one. Problem number two is I didn't rest enough either, and I didn't take care of my body. I was still eating junk food while I had COVID, which was problem number two. Problem number three is when I started to feel better and my body said, okay, go do all the things, even though it doesn't make logical sense. I went and did all the things. I went back to work immediately and I started going on walks and jogging and exercising. And then when I started flaring up from that, I started freaking out. When that happened, so I literally did everything wrong the first time I got COVID. So I made sure to attack those pain points that got me sick in the first place. And I ironed those out. I grayed those out. This is like my 5th round now, so I have a lot of experience with this. I'm never going backwards. You can't. When you know this gray theory stuff, you just can't do it. So hopefully that acts as maybe some reassurance for you guys that maybe fear getting sick in the future, or something like that. I hope it helps you, because right now I'm completely back to normal. Even as normal as I feel, I'm still gonna take it easy for a week because my body just fought a virus. It needs a couple weeks, like at least, to ramp back up into regular everyday activity, right? So yeah, hope that helps you guys. With that being said, let me go to the Discord questions. Okay. Oh, let me navigate through this. Where am I? Okay. All right. Let me go to Sean here. We got Sean in the house. Let's see here. Sean was able to stay up and watch the whole Super Bowl last night with my family. Excellent. I didn't really get to see much of the Super Bowl. I saw a lot of Taylor Swift, though. It was like the Taylor Swift show last night. She needs to leave me alone. Okay, question. What are some techniques to manufacture or practice positive emotions when negative emotions seem to predominate the mind? I spend a lot of time leading into and welcoming the discomfort of negative emotions, but I don't spend enough time working to feel the positive emotions I would like to feel more often. Let me check your answer here. Gratitude list, visualize memories you are looking forward to when you are well. Find the small enjoyments in your current capacity. Yeah, absolutely. Using the community too, Sean, is a big deal. I leaned heavily on the community as well. I leaned heavily on my little tribe too, but to manufacture or practice, I listen to a lot of good music. I actually listen to a lot of good vibe music. The reason I did this is because music is actually a very, very powerful form of neuroplasticity, especially if you sing music out loud specifically, because you're vocalizing something that elicits emotion at the same exact time. You're practicing neuroplasticity in real time if you sing aloud, to a positive song that makes you feel something. So I did that. I watched a lot of positive content as well, mainly stuff that made me feel like goofy and silly and made me laugh. So a lot of comedy I lean towards as well. Visualizing is good. Journaling is good too. But yeah, that's kind of what I did. I mainly the number one thing, because my friends are super goofy, right? A lot of my recovery was me being surrounded by people that just made me laugh until I cried, because that's just how the people are around me, and so that helps a lot. And you guys can lean on each other for that as well. So, Hugo, you got any suggestions, man?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that also with these negative things, and you want to feel or think the positive thoughts when you're thinking negative, it's important to remember also that accepting a negative thought or event is a positive thing in itself. It's a positive feeling to accept the negative, and like expecting the positive is a negative feeling, because expectations, you have been talking about that a lot before.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just like accepting that these thoughts are there and whatever, let them be there in the back of your mind, but you know that this is only the CFS or the nervous system going. That has helped me, but of course also when you can do that first, and then after a while try to distract yourself with something like a music or something that you enjoy.
Absolutely. 100%. Thank you, Hugo. Appreciate it. For the Discord, I'm thinking about making a new channel, specifically a voice channel. And what I mean is, like, you guys know how to send voice messages, like through the Discord. So it would be just a channel, but only voice messages from everybody, and it would be a specific voice channel, and it would be only for people who, after you've completed an adjustment period and you have a higher capacity for it, you record the voice message and then you put it in that channel. And eventually, this channel is going to be flooded with everyone's voices, everyone's different voices that you can listen back to, saying, hey, so I just completed an adjustment period that was 2 weeks and it was really emotional and this, and that. But I'm way, way better for it. And it gets way, way better as well. My capacity is higher. You can do this. I'm just letting you know because now I'm out on the other side of this adjustment period. And for people who have just come out of the adjustment period to record that voice memo, that channel is created for people in an adjustment period to listen to those voice messages and say, oh, it does get better. These are voice messages. I'm hearing the voices of people who have actually gone through what I'm going through telling me it gets better. And just hearing the playbacks of everyone's voices, everyone's experiences, could help immensely. It could. So I'm thinking about doing that as well. But everybody has to participate. That's the thing. It has to be like a group effort. Okay. So that should be something cool. And I know when you're in AP, it's kind of tough to read stuff too. So that'd be pretty cool. Okay. Let's see here. So let's go to. Hold on now. I'm going to the chat here. We got Rachel. So, Rachel, when is wrinkling my way out of an adjustment period and trying to practice great behavior and thinking? Question: when the voice inside says, okay, that's enough, in response to mental or physical activity, how do we know if it's coming from our logical brain and something we need to respect and listen to versus coming from our amygdala and fear driven part and need to challenge it a bit? I'm still very much trying to learn the balance of listening to my body versus challenging the information that it's giving me. Possible answer is perhaps this voice inside is always coming from our survival brain, trying to protect and always needs logic applied. Okay, so recovery is rooted in logic, right? That was one of the main pillars that I leaned on in my recovery. I understood the more logic I had, the more logic I practiced, the faster I recovered. If you guys noticed during my COVID story, how I was able to keep myself sane was to separate myself from the situation and look at it from a logical perspective. Logic saved me in that situation, and it saved me a lot during recovery. Like 90% of the time when I was going through it, when I was having doubts or in adjustment periods, logic saved my ass. And the thing is, the more deep you're into it, the less logic you have. The only way, though, that you can have more logic is if you try to practice more logic consistently. And to practice more logic, because logic is rooted in your executive brain, and your executive brain is connected on how you feel instead of how you think, if that makes sense. So for you, Rachel, if you're like going and doing something or a gentle activity, if you want to practice logic, instead of your brain trying to say, we've done this and this and this and this and this and this and this, it's time to lay down, your logical brain will say, screw all of that. That's fake. It's not even real. All these questions are just meant to throw me off, like some kind of scam artist. Let me pause for a second. How do I physically feel in my body? How bad actually is it? Like, how uncomfortable actually is it? Because the thoughts are going to try to convince you otherwise. oh, yeah, your symptoms are a 3 out of 10, but you've been standing and doing this, and you've been in adjustment period for this long, and this caused it. Shut up. Like, be quiet. Like, get away from me when it comes to those thoughts. Like, you are a story, and you're not just as you're a fake story. That's the thing. Separate it. Get the story out of here. Get the mess out of here. What is the reality? What is the logic? Let me take a step back. Let me take a deep breath and let me analyze, how do I actually feel right now, physically, in this moment? If I am actually quite physically uncomfortable with the experience of the illness or whatever symptoms that I'm experiencing, then sure, take it easy and it's time to pull back. If it is manageable, though, like if the body says it's manageable, it's okay, you can sustain a little bit or you can keep going, um, then I would. I would sustain that same level of activity or I would keep going a little bit. But get that mess of a mind out of there. I call it the monkey mind. Um, it's like getting out of your own way, really. That's what it is, right? And so, and that takes practice, right? That takes a lot of practice over time, especially if we use that mind to operate for however many years that we've had the illness and we listened to it, we engaged with it, we believed with it. It wasn't even real in the first place. Something that I like to tell my new folks in Jumpstart is stop trying to engage with emotions that have no root. Stop trying to figure out physical manifestations of danger, a danger that doesn't even exist. It's not even real. That's the thing. But your brain's trying to make it real. It's trying to make something out of a situation that doesn't exist. So, like, getting out of your own way is really, really important by like taking a step back, take a deep breath, analyze what is the moment right now. How do you actually feel in the moment with all the thoughts aside? That's kind of how you practice more logic. Does that make sense, Rachel?
Yeah, I think I'll have to re-listen to it and absorb that more. Because yeah, it's so like the other day when I made my juice, um, I was sitting in bed right before dinner, just taking a little break, and I was like doing stuff on my phone, and I was like, if I have the energy to do this, I think I have the energy to like, because I had already, I had already like a couple times during the day gotten up and washed some vegetables at the sink.
Mm.
And in my mind, I was thinking, I think that's probably good. I think that's probably like great behavior. I think I just like it's my, I want to finish this. That's kind of like ramping up. But at the same time, like I was sitting in bed, like, but I feel like I could do it. So I got up and did it. And it was the biggest part of the task. And toward the end, I was like, oh man, like things just started coming on pretty strong. But I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm going to finish this. It was just a few more minutes. And then the rest of the night was like really rough. And so then I was reflecting, like, should I listen to that voice that was like, stop after you wash the vegetables? Or was that like, because in that moment, I felt like, I feel like I can do a little more. Then I also have that history of like, always feeling like I should or can do more. I don't know. It just gets confusing for me too.
That's a good one. I like that. So, if I were you in that situation where I started washing the vegetables and then I came back to rest a little bit and said, "Okay, let me finish." Um, if I were to go back into the kitchen and I started washing the vegetables, right? And I'm like, "All right, I'm fine to be able to do this. My body's not really sending me signals yet." But if I physically started to feel bad, right? If my body was physically signaling to me, "Okay, hold on. We're reaching the limit here." Um, but my mind says, you're almost done. Keep going a little bit more. Just keep pushing just a little bit more. You're almost done with the task. In that situation, your body's, again, is rooted in logic. Your mind is not. In that situation, if your body is feeling overwhelmed, but your mind says, just finish it, you're almost there, your mind's lying to you, your body's telling you the truth, right? So if I were to listen to my
Okay.
mind, push it, keep going, pay for it. If I listened to the body and I said, okay, probably going to listen to you. I'm going to put the vegetables down. We'll deal with it later. Or Joel will deal with it later. I'm going to go back to the room. This is mainly for my folks who, before they got sick, they have a history of pushing and going really, really hard, right? Those are for my folks like that. But I have
But the
different folks.
symptom.
Yeah,
No,
go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Rachel. No, go ahead.
The symptoms, like, the symptoms are real, but they're not real. You know what I mean? So I'm like, in that moment, I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. I can just finish this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I find this like so
It's okay. It's a trial and error thing.
challenging.
It's all right. It's a trial and error thing, and it takes practice. But you
Yeah.
have
And I like
to
don't want to
practice.
listen to my body. Part of it is just like, I don't want to listen to you. Like, I've listened to you for a long time. I don't want to listen to you anymore.
Yeah, I mean, when the symptoms ramp up, it's not a matter of I don't want to listen to you, because there has to be a level of respect for your body as well. When it
Yeah.
flares up on a physical level like that, but your mind tells you to keep going, that's honestly probably one of the things that got us sick in the first place, to be
Yeah,
honest,
for sure.
right? These are for my pushers. So
Most
these are
certainly.
but then you have the other people on the other side of the spectrum as well who became fearful. And so these are people who they used to push, but then they became fearful and don't do enough. And these are people where I tell to do the opposite and push through a little bit, and they start feeling better, right?
I kind of feel like I fall into both categories. Like, because, you know, even getting out
Yeah.
of this AP has been like anytime I'm in a longer AP, I feel like I have to nudge a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like it gets confusing because I'm like listening, but maybe I'm listening too much. I don't
Yeah.
like, is that
Well, that's why
possible
you
to
have
be in?
me, Rachel. That's why you have me, because there are some points where you do have hesitancy, but there are some points where you do need to nudge a little bit. There's not like one certain case where one person is all of the hesitant and another case where one person is all of the pusher. It's me literally trying to gray out your behavior of when to nudge and when to pull, and when to nudge and when to pull. Because where we get in trouble is like we hesitate too much sometimes and we go into black and white, or we nudge too much and we push a little too much and we go into black and white. So like it's still staying in that gray area of even being in the adjustment period of it's a gradual nudge and pull and gradual nudge and pull. And it's very tricky sometimes to maneuver, especially if your capacity is a little bit lower. But it's totally doable, especially if you have like me in your corner. I don't think you went too overboard with pushing yourself with washing the carrots or whatever like that, but maybe you went a little bit too much into nudge territory. So now your body's trying to counterbalance that with a little bit more pull. So you're going to rest now, but I don't want you to rest to the point where you're going to hesitate too much to do a little bit more, because eventually you're going to have to nudge gently again. And then we're going to have to pull again and nudge gently again. You know, it's that fine balance in the middle. Okay.
Yeah. I think there's also like there's still a bit in there. I'm learning like through you know, always learning through this process. But there's still a bit in there that like if I don't push through this, I won't get better. There's some kind of voice like that happening that I was realizing the other day. Like I'll never anyways.
Yeah.
We have a call tomorrow. We can talk about it.
Oh, we do?
But like
okay,
we
that's
do.
nice. Okay. Yeah, it's
But yeah, thanks. That's all really helpful.
Of course. And remember, the gray is both, Rachel. Both exist. If you don't push sometimes, it's true. You don't get better. But if you don't pull back sometimes, you don't get better either. Both exist. That's the thing. It's not so black and white of one or the other. It's the middle. You just have to know when it's appropriate. That's all.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
Of course. Johanna, how's it going, girl?
Hello. I just wanted to say that I remember you told me in the beginning that listen to your body, not your mind. And that has worked every time for me. And yeah, I just wanted to share that because that's a mantra that I always use when in doubt. Yeah, of course,
Yeah.
it doesn't work if you rest too much, but like later on, I think that has really worked. So I just wanted to share that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Johanna, for sharing that. Appreciate you. Okay. Excellent. Liz.
Yeah, I just wanted to chip in on this listening to your body stuff because it's actually really hot. I've also been trying to do this, and what I've learned is that it's actually incredibly hard because it's so habitual for your mind to get in the way. Like, your mind begins to interpret what you're feeling in your body. It starts to, it's as soon as you say, Rachel, there's this voice, then you're not listening to your body, you're listening to your mind. And I had to practice how to listen to my body when I wasn't in an AP. So just starting with kind of lying down or sitting for a minute and just trying to just feel physical sensations without any kind of like mind-based interpretation of those sensations. Does that make sense? And it's actually something I kind of have begun to rely on more and more now. I can kind of even do it when I'm in an AP, just actually how am I physically feeling without my mind then telling me a story, just getting my mind out of the way. So
Yeah.
that's my contribution to this quite
Thank you.
complicated subject.
I know it's a bit complicated, Rachel, but you raised a great question.
Yeah.
And honestly probably sparked a lot of mind shifts in people as well. One of the main things I see as a coach that keeps people stuck is they're too much in their mind and not enough in their body. That's the thing. Like, okay, how can I say this? Especially people who progress slower, right? Or people who make very too little progress. It's the emotional relationship with the symptom is deeper than just the surface level symptom itself. That's usually what I see. So what I mean by that is like the symptom reminds them of like a certain feeling or an experience or a time that they hate or associate with and these folks can't separate themselves from the symptom itself. It's like a link. It's like something that's attached, right? So the solution for that is to take the story away from the symptom and just see it as a surface level symptom. This is actually something that was a huge mind shift for me when I was recovering, is taking that story away, right? Oh, I can't have brain fog because it doesn't allow me to have conversations or engage in this or teach class or do this or that, or I can't walk and the walking doesn't allow me to go to the mall and shop and be with my family. I'm so tired, I'm so fatigued, it doesn't allow me to stop all that. That's a story. It's a story that your mind made. If you can't think or if you have brain fog, don't do this where you go, I can't think and it stops me from doing this and that and this and that and this and that and it prevents me from. Stop. Just leave it at I can't think right now. Over. Done. Leave it at that. I have fatigue and it prevents me from taking care of this one and walking. Stop. The moment the story starts, stop it and just leave it at I'm just fatigued for the day. Don't attach the story. When you attach a story, when you link something emotional to it, it becomes way, way, way harder to deal with, to respond well with. Especially my folks with chronic pain who don't really have fatigue. When they feel the pain reminds them of maybe a dark time in their life or abuse or something like that. The pain reminds me of, this abuser, okay, you have pain today. Leave the abuse in the past where it belongs. Separate yourself from the pain because that pain lives with you today, but that memory can be left behind in that time. It doesn't have to stay with you. When you separate the association, it just merely becomes, I have body pain today. And that becomes way, way, way more easier to respond to than I have body pain because it reminds me of that one time in the past where he or she did something to me. That makes it so much more difficult to deal with, right? Separate yourself from it. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is don't let your mind run stories and get in the way of things. Just focus based on physically how you feel without the story attached. When you can do that, it becomes way, way easier, right? I could have done it with COVID. I could have been like, oh yeah, I feel this thing. This is the very thing that triggered me into my very first crash back then. It reminds me of that. No, I didn't do that. Instead, I was like, I feel this thing right now, and that's the end of that. And I'll just deal with it as it's presented to me hour by hour. That's it. There's no story attached to it. There doesn't need to be a story attached to it because it's coming from my monkey mind, the thing that's trying to pull me back into a place where I don't want to go, right? So really learning to separate. That takes time. That takes a lot of practice and consistency, but that's okay. It's all a trial and error thing anyways, and we're right behind you guys to support you if you need any help for that, because I know this gets a little tricky and it gets a little murky when you can't navigate it as easily, especially if you're in the trenches. So I understand. Okay, so I hope that helps some of you guys here. Juliet, you got a question? You want to chime in on something?
I want to chime in. I want to share one thing that yoga nidra meditation teach me this last day and all along my monthly practice. It's everything. It's impermanence. So symptoms are impermanent, and it helped me so much to separate myself and to not engage with thought and just seeing my thought like bird in the sky or cloud in the sky, and just they come and they go, and I forgot in the second what I thought. So it helped me really, really well with my relationship with fatigue.
I like that one. I like that, Juliet. Thanks for sharing that little golden nugget of impermanence. That's good. That's good. I want people to listen back to that one. Thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it. Okay. Thank you, Rachel, for asking that question. You always spark great discussion, huh? By the way, Rachel, are you still in the AP from the birthday party? Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think I'm still like wrinkling out of it.
Okay. When was the birthday party?
Just over 3 weeks ago.
You're wrinkling out faster than I thought. I thought it was going to take 4. I'm going to be honest with you. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Let's go. All right.
I just after the party, I was like, I was almost like, I'm just not even gonna let myself get an AP from this.
No.
And it literally worked for like one day. My body was like, okay, and then it was like,
No. If you look at it like this from a logical perspective, Rachel. You went from going from bedbound to couchbound, hanging out in the living room, doing a few things in the kitchen here and there, right?
mm-hmm.
You went from that to being in a social setting with over 40 people in a loud, crowded place, engaging like a normal person for an hour plus in a different house, in a different environment. How does that logically make sense as the next step? It doesn't. It was probably 2 to 3 steps a little bit more. So because of that, the adjustment period is going to be a little bit more beefy over the course of probably like 3, 4, maybe 5 weeks, and you're gonna gradually wrinkle yourself out of that. So you skipped a few steps. That's okay. If you respond well, you're allowed to skip a few steps. That's how this works. But responding well over the course of 3, 4, 5 weeks isn't easy for anyone, right? So for you to be wrinkling out slowly, starting to do stuff, washing carrots, just after 3 weeks, that's so big. That shows me you're actually responding really, really well. So,
Okay.
all right. So
It's
don't
helpful,
worry.
yeah.
Yeah, you'll be okay. You'll be okay.
Cool. Thanks.
Of course. Let me check if we have any more questions. If not, I do have a topic that I want to talk about here. Let's see. John, stop hiding from me. I saw you put your hand up twice. Just say it. What do you need? We got a question, man? Now he's afraid. He's afraid. Don't run from me, John.
Hello.
I hear you. What do you need, man?
Sorry, I kept putting my hand down because I'm sort of reeling a bit, so I wasn't sure if I had the juice to actually ask the question. But it's related to what you were just talking about in terms of like how your mind creates a story. Anyway, long story short, I've been in this AP for about 6 weeks, and then at the weekend I had this massive flare up in the middle of the night, and it felt like it used to felt when my body crashed. Do you know what I mean? So obviously, I immediately kind of panicked, but it was more like my body panicked because it's like a chemical memory. It's sort of like it do you know what I mean? I know my mind got on board, but I just it's completely thrown me, and I feel worse now than I have done since it started, and I don't know, maybe was that because my mind got on board like a kind of a PTSD and it remembered, and then that sort of triggered it, or but it was like it happened in the body before the mind. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I get you, man. Yeah, I get you. It's okay. As long as you respond well, John. You got this. I know your adjustment periods are quite long right now, especially in the beginning, but you got it, man. You know your black and white behaviors? Are you aware of yours specifically, John?
I mean, if any, my only black and white behavior with this AP is I've responded too well. Like I've been so freaking jolly. Like, do you know what I mean? Like my mood has been impeccable, and maybe I've tried. I haven't been neutral. I've actually been relentlessly positive because I just thought this is good. This is all working. Obviously, I'm 6 weeks in, so I've been battered down a bit. Do you know what I mean? So I've kind of just been in the ring too long, you know. But today, this morning, I felt like I had a really low morning. I felt terrible physically, and then mentally I plummeted. And I did bring it back round by this afternoon, but yeah, maybe that's the only thing I can think of.
All right. Well, hang in there, John. We'll get to you in your chat. We'll try to see what's going on. Okay.
All right, cool. Thank you.
All right. Excellent. Hugo, you got something for me, man?
Yeah, I have a question. I was thinking like in my situation, now I've been feeling really good for a couple of weeks, and I've been doing a lot of physical activities and social activities and working full time and everything. And it's been going on well, and I didn't feel bad after. And now, like all of a sudden, after like more than a month, my body decides to go into an AP. So what is the logic behind that? Because I was kind of keeping the same level of activity for a long time, and then after a while, my body decided, okay, now this is dangerous. We need to send him into an AP.
Yep. Hugo, are you trying to figure out where the AP came from?
Actually, no. I was kind of glad because I know I will level up to the next stage. So I would say I have responded very well to this AP. It's like first today or yesterday something where it's been like on the AP has been on the same level for the whole week.
Okay.
And then it's like, oh, shouldn't it? The expectations start to come back, and then it challenges my mind a bit.
Okay. So what can you do if you don't know why?
Stay calm, step back.
Respond well. That's the only thing you can do. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent, man. It's time to exercise your nervous system. That's what it's time to do. It's time to, because here's the thing. You have like 3 systems of strength in your body. You have immune system, you have the musculoskeletal system, and you have your nervous system. How you build strength for your muscles is you take it to the gym and you physically work it out. Yes? Yeah. How you build nervous system strength, because it's so weak and sensitive, is responding well to stress. The nervous system is in charge of only 2 things: stress and danger. That's it. So if you can signal, what is happening right now? If you can signal non-danger and you respond well to stress, that would be the equivalent of lifting weights for your muscles. That's how you make the nervous system stronger, is by responding well. So if you've been at this for a month, no adjustment period, you've been doing great, and all of a sudden one came out of the blue and it's a week long, if you want to make your nervous system stronger, the same way you work out muscles, you have to respond well. That's the only thing you can do, man. You don't have another choice.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course, man.
I was just kind of thinking, maybe when I think about it, I have done a lot of things. So I was kind of surprised before that I didn't get this AP earlier. So in that kind of sense, I was kind of grateful for getting it
Good,
now.
man.
Because
Good,
then,
man. You're getting soft on me. No adjustment period for a month, and now you get one for a week, and you're asking questions. You're getting soft, man. Come on, bro.
come on, bro.
Step it up, bro.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go.
So
You need it.
yeah, I need it.
Builds character. All right. Excellent.
But I want to add also, I was
Yeah.
quite happy because when the adjustment period came, I was quite happy because now it's the physical stuff again. I know how to handle that, because before it was like some worries coming like that normal people also has from life, and then I felt like kind of not used to handling these kind of things. But then when the physical parts came back, I was like, yeah, I know how to handle this.
Mm-hmm.
So that shows that I didn't lose it.
That's right.
The mindset.
Good, man. Stay
Yeah.
strong for me, brother. You got it. Okay. Nikki, how's it going?
Hello.
Hey.
I just wanted to chime in what John said. So I actually had a scenario recently where it kind of mimicked what you said, John. I had those like pre-crash indicator symptoms, if you will, come up just a couple weeks ago, and you can view them in a couple of different ways. And I know it's very hard, especially when you're in a 6-week AP. That gets really trying after a while. But I tried to view it as like, this is a straight up boss level test. Like, it is pulling out the big guns to see, are we okay? Are we going to still respond to this or no? Yes or no? And it's that test. And you could pass that test and level up, or it could be the bait that pulls you back in. That choice is yours. And I know it's very, like I said, it's very hard when you're in that 6-week AP. It could also be a really good sign that you're responding well to all of the other symptoms. It's going to pull out the big guns and pull out the biggest symptom that it could think of. And if you respond well to that, you're just going to level up again. So there's a lot of different ways you can view it too. So I just wanted to point that out as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you, Nikki. I appreciate it. If you guys have symptoms that mimic old symptoms like John and Nikki experienced, the number one roadblock people could face is that they're afraid history is going to repeat itself because in the past it was a really bad experience, right? But in order for history to repeat itself, the same things have to be executed at the same time, right? It's impossible for history to repeat itself. Even if you feel the same symptoms that you did in as like a certain period in the past, like I said, in order for that same exact experience to repeat, the same exact actions must be executed. And in that time period where you experienced that thing, what happened was you felt those things, but how was your response? It was probably bad. It was probably really negative. It was probably not ideal. So same flare up, poor response versus same flare up now, new response. So the same actions will not be executed this time that they were last time, even though it feels physically similar. So the outcome will also be different as well, making it virtually impossible for history to repeat itself. So if you're afraid that history will repeat itself because you feel similar symptoms physically that you did to last time, you have to understand that you're afraid of something now that will never happen again if you respond well and you do things differently, right? And that's what we're all here to do. So don't be afraid of it. Amazing, Nikki. Thank you as well. Thank you, John, for raising that question and starting this discussion too. So, Abdul.
Yeah, Junior, I think just maybe this might help John as well, but I read a recovery story, I think 3 weeks back or 2 weeks back, and it was a lady who struggled with fibromyalgia for I think 6 or 7 years. And what she did was, or what she said, the hypothesis that she came up with was she basically gave her brain a name. It was some random name like Warren or whatever it is. She had a story behind it. But the idea was, she said that we are like obedient children that listen to the parent brain. That keeps giving an instruction, and we give into those instructions. But the moment you befriend the brain and work along with it or alongside it, you can start to challenge the brain as well. And you can calm the brain down if need be as well, you know? So as soon as symptoms are sort of ramping up quite hectically, and this is something I've started practicing as well, is you start talking to your brain and almost get into a negotiation process. And I'm finding that the symptoms do kind of calm down a little bit once I start doing that. I think it takes time, but it may be a strategy that some of us can work with.
I love that. I love that, Abdul. Thanks for sharing that. It reminds me of I think it was something Miguel said when somebody asked him, "So you genuinely believe it's your brain and your nervous system?" Miguel said, "I don't just believe it. I have a relationship with it now. I'm past believing. We talk now." So, same thing, Abdul. Excellent. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, let's go to Viola.
Hi. One thing to the history. Once you said in a call, "This is not that." I really like this phrase, and when I feel afraid of something, I remember, "This is not that." Yeah, and my question is, before I got ill, I have a side in me that constantly assess what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, and want to go to some, I don't know, ideal idea of how I should be and should behave or should be as a person, and to develop and all this, and of course also now in the with the condition, but it's like I said, for everything. How can I deal with this side constantly? I think I trained this neuropathway so much that it's difficult to stop it. I think something, I do something, or could be like this, or this could be better, or you shouldn't do it. Yeah, it's not related to the condition. It's to everything, as if I want to, try to be good. And this, I don't know where this idea of good comes from, but maybe you get a picture. How can we deal with this constant assessing of our behaviors? Especially now when in this condition. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. So, what do you think, Viola? Your own tendencies of overthinking and analyzing literally everything in and around your life is your black and white behavior?
Yeah. yeah. And I know it, but I can't stop it. It's a feeling like you're going crazy because it's in constant voice that like subtitle all what you're doing or thinking.
Yeah, of course. It's okay, Viola. If there's a lifetime habit leading up to this, you asking the question shows me you're kind of at the apex and you're aware, and awareness is the first step to going back down and kind of reversing that on the other side. But in the past, maybe we might not have been so aware, but now that you're aware, you're asking the question, you're raising that flag to me, that concern of, okay, now that I'm aware that this is my roadblock, I'm aware this is the thing that's keeping me sick, I'm aware that this is the thing that acts as a hurdle. One of two outcomes possibly happen from this. With awareness comes choice, and you make choices every single day. I call them micro choices. And you engage in those things every single day. And you chip away every single day slowly, and the habit dies. And that's kind of the slow and small way of doing it. It's also the healthier way of doing it. Or the other way, which I've seen, I don't recommend it, but some people have to go through it, where you keep doing the bad things, but now you're aware that you're continuing to do the things that don't serve you. And the guilt builds up over time to the point where it just boils over and you say, enough is enough. I don't want to do this anymore, and then you make quite a drastic change over the period of time. That second option, more often than not, I see involves a meltdown first before that big change happens, or a big drastic life-altering event. I don't recommend anyone going that second route, although it works, it's not healthy. So for you, Viola, I would request that you chip away slowly over time. Being aware, making those micro decisions throughout the day, because now that you're where you have a choice, right? And just doing it slowly day by day. That would be my best advice to you. Breaking a big habit or a lifelong habit consists of doing small things in the opposite direction every single day. That's how that works. Okay?
Yeah, thanks. But how can I, if these are thoughts, and they think, yeah, okay, this you should have done different, or yeah, and then you think, oh, now I'm doing it again. I'm thinking now this thoughts, you know, I don't know how to choose. I can't to react or to do to think different. You know what I mean? Or do you mean to redirect the thought? But yeah, I have a little trouble to know what can I do when I notice this constant voice assessing all thoughts.
Okay, Viola.
What could be the first step?
Viola, listen to my voice, because
Yeah.
I know you have a lot of thoughts right now. Stare at something in your room just for a second. It could be anything. Let me know when you're there.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you notice about the object that you're looking at? What are you looking at right now?
Plant.
Okay. Is there a story around the plant, or are you able to just observe the plant for what it is?
There's no story.
Okay. I need you to do the same thing with your thoughts. When you start having those thoughts, just see them for what they are. It's just a thought. It's just phony baloney. It's just monkey business, right? Don't attach the story to it the same way you observed the plant just now. If you see the plant, there's green leaves and it's in a pot, and it's as simple as that. If you have a thought of like, oh, why do I stop this? How do I stop that? See it for what it is. Instead of attaching yourself to the story, see it for what it is. Detach yourself and say, instead of saying, oh, what is it? What is it? Because what you're doing right there, when you're saying, oh, how do I stop this? How do I stop that? You engaged right there. Mm-hmm. The only way someone can ask a question about a situation is if they engage. That's the thing. You engaged just now. Mm-hmm. I need you to not engage and see it for what it is. It's a thought. So instead of saying, oh, what is this? What is this? Instead say, that, what is that? That is a thought. That's what that is. And don't engage with it at all. Just leave it at that and just let it fall. Okay?
This is good. Yeah, this is helpful. Thank you. I think if it's getting really too hard, I come to the living room and look at the plant. To remember, because I remember now this conversation. Thank you.
Of course, Viola. Happy to help. Michaela.
I also just wanted to chime into Viola's question. I was thinking about that. For example, I was smoking since I was 14 years till the age of 32. Mm-hmm. So I have quitted smoking since 6 years, and the most time of my life, I was with cigarettes. Mm-hmm. And when I quit smoking, I realized that I did not have craving just when I was in the gym. And then I saw the only place where I did not have smoked was in the gym. And so I think we have connected a lot of situations, for example, with the smoking. And this is all branded in our brain like 1,000 times of doing the same thing. And I think then I started to go in the situations where I usually started craving, for example, when I was waiting for the bus or when I was drinking alcohol and did not smoke. And I think it takes the whole process to rewire the brain, like you have come to connect things with, I don't know if it's understandable, but and it really works. It really worked. And this is for me the best proof that neuroplasticity is real. And for Viola's thoughts, I really would think, or when I also have these thoughts, I really try to think the opposite. If I believe it or not, I really try to think it just to make the reverse effect in my brain. And I really believe that when I do it a lot of times, then one day it will happen that it's the same, that it will rewire it. I hope
Excellent.
it's understandable.
Of course. Of course, Michaela. Yeah, I get that. Totally understand it. So thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it. I'm sure you helped
And
tons of
and I
people with
really
that
think
analogy.
that being aware of what causes the thoughts is the first step, and then maybe really thinking the opposite when you start thinking, oh, why haven't I done this? Or then maybe you think, like with a friend or with a little child, you say, it's okay you haven't done this because at this time when you have taken the decision, it was okay and it was right for you in this, and now nothing to blame for what we have done in the past. It doesn't serve.
Excellent. Thank you, Michaela. I appreciate it. I love those insights and great analogy as well. That's wonderful. Okay. I'll leave you guys off with this because I don't see you for the rest of the week. Just a short topic that I want to talk about. I'll spend about 5 minutes here, okay? There's a lot of Thrivers' birthdays in the first quarter of the year. There's a few holidays as well in the first quarter of the year. Kind of unspoken holidays. We have things like Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day is coming up. Springtime is coming up soon. Pollen is, weather's getting warmer, all these things, right? People are going to start doing stuff. I'll talk to you guys about it from a coach's perspective, so you guys kind of understand where I'm coming from. If I have somebody coming up to me and saying, Junior, I joined the program maybe last month or something like that because I had a really bad crash, or I was going through it big time, or I had a really bad family event, or something traumatic happened to me. The first thing that goes through my mind is, I really prayed this time next year when they get that AP or that flare up around this time next year that they respond well and they change history and they change the trajectory. Or I'll have Thrivers come up to me and say, Junior, I was doing really, really good up until this point of my recovery at a certain time in the summer. That's when I had my big crash. That's when I had my big flare. The first thing that comes to my mind is, I will help them. I will guide them. But by the time that next summer comes around at around the same time, just within a year's span, just in a year in the future, I can only pray when that random adjustment period comes up, they respond well to that. This is something called the anniversary effect. Okay? The anniversary effect is when you're in your darkest days of the year, or maybe have a huge flare up or something really traumatic happen to you. The body learns, because it stores memory, the body learns to remember what the brain sometimes tries to forget, right? So if you're going through something this time last year, because we have a couple cohorts in these mentorship calls who started in March, right? There's a couple groups that started in March and a couple groups that started in April. Usually people who start and join the program are probably desperate and really going through something and join the program in hopes that it would help them. So if you're from that March group, it's probably because you were going through it really bad in February or March. If you're in my April group, it's probably because you were really going through it in March or April and you were desperate and you joined the program. But what does that mean? The anniversary effect is something that kicks in around the same time of the year in an attempt to protect you from whatever you signaled danger to at that one point during that year. So if you're really going through it in February, March, more likely than not, you're going to have what seems like a random adjustment period coming out of nowhere. And it's going to hit you probably really hard emotionally or physically or both. And you're going to say, Junior, I feel like I went back to square one. It feels like when I first joined the program. That's the anniversary effect. You're going through it. Your body is trying to protect you again on its yearly time cycle that it has you on. Remove the story again, like we talked about earlier. Oh, it reminds me of that one time last year. No, it doesn't. This is different. Remove the story. It's an anniversary effect. If you respond well to it this time, then this time next year, it won't happen again. Okay? And I'm saying this because I have a lot of March last year Thrivers that are here now, and it's almost March again, which means you've been going through it last February. Your body's going to do it again. Okay? Don't repeat history. I'm telling you guys this right now. If something comes up and it's random, or you have a flare up, or you feel emotions that have no root, but you just all of a sudden start feeling bad, that's probably what's happening. Don't take it personally. Respond differently. Do not repeat history again. Do not make the nervous system repeat itself again year after year after year. Change how you respond. Do it differently this year, okay? It doesn't have to be this way again, the same way it was last year. Change it. Change it, okay? Those are the times of years I get the most worried for Thrivers, because they say, oh, Junior, I've made so much progress up until like around June last summer. That's when I had my big crash. I'm going to help you up until June this summer. But when that comes, that moment in June where you have that random adjustment period where you don't feel well for like 3-4 weeks and your capacity dipped, please don't freak out June this summer and repeat history like you did last time, because it will repeat itself. That's the thing. I don't need you to repeat it now that you know that this stuff exists. And sometimes they can be repeat stuff of stuff you don't even remember happened last year. So there's no point in even trying to figure it out. What I'm trying to say is the anniversary effect takes from different points of the year where you feel low, and it'll try to protect you 365 years later. And it can happen multiple times throughout that following year as well. If you have random flare-ups, if you have a random symptom rotation, if you feel angry for whatever reason, rage, frustration that you've never felt before or you're not used to, if you feel a day where you just feel off for no reason, if you feel an adjustment period that's longer than usual, that shouldn't be this long because what triggered it doesn't justify this long, don't question it. That's what I'm saying. Don't look for the root. Don't look for the source. Don't look for whatever caused it. All you can do is respond well, because that's the only choice you have. You might not even remember if it's an anniversary effect or not. You might not even remember what happened this time last year. All you can do is respond well. But what I'm asking you guys is, when that time comes, and if it comes randomly, don't repeat history again. Don't make the same mistakes that you did before. Do what's in your power, and what's in your power is responding well. We always talk about taking your power back. That's how you take your power back, is making that choice and responding well. And you have that choice every single day, every single moment. All right? So I kind of just want to leave you off with that. You guys are doing great. Okay? So you're doing wonderful. Stay strong for me. All right? I know a lot of you are going through adjustment periods, and we had great discussions. Rachel, that was a great question. Thank you for asking that. Sean, that was a great question as well. Thank you guys for asking that. I love these calls, man. I really do. You guys continue to inspire me every single day. And thank you, everybody in the Thriver General chat who wished me well when I was going through COVID and hoping that I was getting better. That means more to me than you know. I held on to those messages when I was going through it. When my symptoms were a 10 out of 10, I read those messages over and over. You guys kept me sane as well. It's a even and fair exchange. So thank you for that. I really do appreciate it. Okay? Until next time, take care, everyone. I'll see you guys next week. Okay? Cool. Bye-bye.
Thank you.